Hey, what's up, y'all? This your boy Nico. Hit that like and subscribe button for me. Before we start, I hope all y'all doing good. Happy Saturday to everybody. I wanted to make a video. I was on Peacock the other night, and I ended up just watching Slamboree from 1996 WCW. And I remember around that time, uh, they had all this. I think it was the Dungeon of Doom with Kevin Sullivan and the Yeti and the Shark and the Giant and good old Jimmy Hart. And, Hulk Hogan was going through the whole waging war against the Alliance to end the Hulkamania. That whole thing. I think Kevin Sullivan was the booker back then. And honestly, as I'm watching some of the Nitros leading up to Slamboree, and even before then, because for nostalgia purposes, I like to kind of just go back. If I'm bored up, turn Peacock on to watch old WCW, old WWF stuff. That's just me. But you could kind of hear some of the reactions leading up to that pay-per-view where, honestly, like the crowd, you can honestly tell, the crowd did not really like Hulk at that time. Like, I think it felt like he was trying to get a second run with Hulkamania. And the WCW fans were just not going for that. And so he was getting a lot of boos around that time, which eventually led to him going to start the NWO, which, everybody loves. I was a Wolfpack guy. Not gonna lie, I was not the black and white NWO. Love the original though. Love the original. Had to take that off, man. It was sound was getting on my nerves. But yeah. And so I'll get to the pay-per-view I was watching, Slamboree 1996. And so it was a match, the Dungeon of Doom match. And, I think the last Nitro before the pay-per-view, Kevin Sullivan announced the rest of his team. It was during the tag match. Hogan and his Macho and the rest of his team ended up losing as Dungeon of Doom came out. And they brought out some really big guy that, I ain't gonna lie, the guy was massive. He looked like Warlord, but even bigger. Just massive guy. Then they brought back Zeus, Tiny Lister Jr. Yeah, well, no holds barred, of course. And I'm just like, man, those guys are huge. And so you get to the match. I send past most of the card because I had already saw it. So I'm getting to the end and I'm looking at it. And it's like they have the 3-tier cage. And picture this shit, 3-tier cage. You got the layer on the top, and then there's the second layer, and then there's the third layer. They get down, they got to walk down some scaffolding and stairs and shit, and then, to get in the ring. And so when you look at the match, it's Hulk Hogan and Macho Man Randy Savage, the Mega Powers. But they're versus like 8 fucking guys. Like 8 guys they're squared off against. You have Rick Flair, Arn Anderson, AA, Kevin Sullivan, Taskmaster's in this match. A heel Lex Luger is in this match. And then you got Zeus and that other guy I told you about. And so the match starts off, you got at the top of the cage, you got Rick and AA up there starting off with Macho Man and Savage. Macho Man and Hulk. So, they're going at it, and then eventually Hulk and Randy end up dropping down to the second cell. But in the second cell, I also forgot they were the Faces of Fear in there. So you had Ming in there as well, and Barbarian. And so they dropped down into that side, but luckily Hulk Hogan and Randy ended up dropping down to the other side where I think it was waiting Kevin Sullivan and Lex Luger. So then they start fighting. And Arn ends up getting down into the second layer with Ming, and they're trying to get the lock off the door. Same with Flair. Flair gets down. And so Hogan ends up eventually busting out the door with Kevin Sullivan, and they start going down the ramp, heading towards the ring. You know, at one point it looked like they were going to throw each other off, which clearly wasn't going to happen because that was a hell of a fall. That was about 25 feet. They would have got fucked up. But anyway, we get to the point of now everybody, Macho Man is now down. You look up, he's down now. And then it's just like Hogan and the Savage are just whooping the shit out of all 8 of these guys, man. And it's like Arn is in there just bumping his ass off, man. You know, he ain't even got tights on. He got like a warm-up suit on. So you know he was just trying to cover up his skin and shit. But, man. And I ended up reading an interview about it. Because, of course, Hulk Hogan and Randy were victorious. I ended up coming across an interview about it where, you know, Double A gave his take on it. And he honestly said, like, nobody came out good on that match. And, of course, they wouldn't. I mean, logically, when you think when you think in a real fight, there's 8 people. And there's 2 on the other side. Most likely the 8 are going to win. You know, you got 4 people per person. You know, I get wrestling, you know, we suspend reality and shit. And of course, you know, lifelong fan, love it. But come on, man. 2 on 8? That was a shit show. That was a shit show. And they just threw Arn Anderson in there to just bump and take bumps and shit. And that's kind of what he said in the interview. You know, Lex was in there hollering, you know, but hey, Lex hollers every time he gets hit. Go watch a Luger match, tell me if I'm lying. Real talk. But yeah, that match was just, yeah. Definitely not one of the best runs of Hulk over there on WCW. To me, I mean, I didn't really think he peaked till he turned into Hollywood. But y'all be safe on this weekend. Y'all take these, and I'll probably be recording a little later to get my review of AEW this week. So I haven't done an AEW video. So y'all stay tuned.